Deployment, running through the Office 365 Hybrid Configuration Wizard. By the time you're done here, you will be able to confidently walk through the Office 365 Hybrid Configuration Wizard for your organization. All right, all of our preparation has been done. It's time to dive into the Hybrid Configuration Wizard, which looks like this. It's a little application downloaded from Office 365 that provides your easy road to implement Hybrid Exchange. See, when this originally was done, you had to manually put together a whole group of PowerShell commands and configurations in Exchange to glue the two environments together. It was really problematic and totally error-prone. And so after seeing enough of these environments crash and burn, Microsoft finally put together a Hybrid Configuration Wizard. Now, initially you might look and go, well, Wizard, I'd kind of rather do it manually so I know exactly what's going to happen. Well, at this point in time, which is 2018, this has actually evolved so much to become the only Microsoft-supported way of implementing Hybrid Exchange. So if you do it manually, not only are you causing yourself a lot of pain, when it's said and done and it doesn't work and you call Microsoft, they'll be like, why don't you go ahead and run the Wizard? Because we're not really going to support that method of doing it. And I think you'll see after we run through it, it truly is a work of art. This wizard simplifies so many complex tasks. So let's dive into it. Now, back in the day, Microsoft used to have a special section of the Admin Center of Office 365 that was designated for Hybrid. It literally would say under Setup, Hybrid, and you'd click on it and it would download the Hybrid Wizard. That's been removed and they've now hidden it behind the data migration. So once you start saying, okay, I'm ready to migrate my stuff from Exchange, it will then realize that you don't have a hybrid environment set up yet and offer to download the wizard. Right there it's saying, it looks like you haven't run that configuration wizard yet. Do you want to? So we'll click the download application button. I'll save it to my desktop and run the file. It's a really small file that just connects up to Microsoft and downloads the full application. All right, we hit the welcome screen. Let's next on over. It's going through and detecting what our Exchange environment looks like. And right there, it found one of our key Exchange servers, EX03, which is one of our client access and hub transport servers. And it's simply saying, that'll do. If you want to specify a different server, you can, but I've detected this one as the optimal server. It's then asking you, where are you hosting your Office 365 Exchange? Microsoft has special versions for certain areas of the world because of all the regulatory stuff that they've got going on. In our case, we'll choose Office 365 worldwide. Next. It's then asking me for my local administrator credentials to Exchange. Now it's detecting that I'm logged on with this account, which is the administrator account, which is fine. And I'll add in my tenant credentials for my VIA Office 365 environment. User account and password. It's validated that, hit the next button. Now what it's doing is going through and downloading all the configuration information from Office 365 and my local Exchange cluster so it can figure out what PowerShell commands it needs to issue to tie the two together. We've gathered all the configuration information, hit next. Now we hit one of the newer options of the Hybrid Configuration Wizard, whether we want to do a full hybrid config or a minimal hybrid config. See, there's a whole bunch of glue that this wizard puts in between your on-premise Exchange deployment and Office 365. And some people are just saying, you know what? We are using this because we don't want to do a cutover migration. It's too fast. But really, our end game is to completely disband the on-premise. Or maybe we just acquired a company and we're really just wanting to move all these people over. There's just too many of them to move at once. So we just want a temporary sort of thing. That's what minimal hybrid configuration does, is it just gives you the ability to migrate mailboxes from the on-prem to the cloud without supplying all the advanced features. And you can see right here, the free busy sharing, enhanced mail flow, e-discovery, all the stuff that really makes it feel like one environment. That's what the minimal world is for. In our case, we do plan on keeping the on-premise around for a long time, probably indefinitely for the customers that just want to have that on-premise feel. So we'll select that and hit next. Now the wizard is asking us to enable a federation trust. Now, this is different than an Active Directory federation, which we enabled earlier to synchronize our Active Directory users with Office 365. This is a trust that goes between the Exchange clusters. It's primarily used to allow them and permit them to share that free busy information between mailboxes. Now, to create that federation, it takes about 3 minutes, so be patient on that. Now this wizard takes you through yet a second domain ownership check. We verified that we owned the via.com to Office 365, but they're saying, well, to make sure that we can establish this federation, we want to validate your ownership one more time. So I'm going to go on hyperspeed and create this DNS text record they're asking for. All right, text record created. Let's check the box that we've created it and verify. Man, maybe I went too fast. Let's try it again. Now the hybrid wizard is allowing us to select how we route our email. The first thing it's saying is you really only have one option. You have your client access and mailbox servers that will exchange emails with the Exchange Online organization. We select that because that's the only thing we can do. But we're given this option down here to enable centralized mail transport. By default, that is not checked, and you can see that they're saying most organizations will not require it. And that's because what this does is force all of the email to route through a centralized mail transport, being your on-premise Exchange cluster. By default, when email is sent to the outside world, here's the internet up here, it could potentially go out either one of these destinations. If you've got a mailbox over here in Office 365 and it sends an outside mail, that will route right out through Office 365 servers to the internet. However, some organizations, for compliance reasons, or maybe they have a mail archiving system or something, may require that all the email go out through their own on-premise cluster. In that case, check the box to enable centralized mail transport. It forces all the email from Office 365 to route back through the on-premise world. In our case, I do not need that feature. Hitting next. Now from there, it's asking me which hub transport servers should get the send connectors that allow it to send emails securely directly to Office 365 Online. And it lists all my hub transport servers in the cluster right below. Now, I know right about now some of you are thinking, well, wait a sec. I thought you were going to have that Edge transport server be the entity that allows it to send email to Office 365. And the truth is, I was. However, I found out that Microsoft removed that feature from the hybrid configuration wizard because they found out not many people were using it, at least in the Microsoft Exchange 2010 world, which is what I'm running. Exchange 2013 still presents the option. So what this means is when it's all said and done, I'm going to have to go in and manually set up the send connectors or just be content with my hub transport servers being the one that transports it off to Exchange Online. For redundancy's sake, I'm going to select EX03 and EX09. FS02 is just our keepsake Exchange server. It's not really used for anything, so I'll leave it out. Hit the next button. Now to allow Microsoft to set up their site securely, it's asking me, what is the public IP of your transport servers? And right there, it actually detects which public IP my MX record is pointed to. That happens to be the same public IP my transport servers are using because of NAT. I'll add that in there. Next. Now it's asking us what SSL certificate we would like to use to secure this transport. I mentioned when we talked about security certificates earlier in this module, I had a wildcard certificate that we were using for SchoolDesk US, which was the previous name of this company before it became VIA. We still have a few months before expiration, so all good there. Next. Now Exchange is asking for the fully qualified domain name to reach our email server from the outside so it can relay mail in. Currently, until we migrate all our names over, it's mail.schooldeskus.com. Next. Flight pre-checks are successful. Hit update to apply all the config. All right, we're complete. And it looks like we found one warning that it's giving us. It's just saying our certificate, which is anything at schooldeskus.com, doesn't match our verified domain inside the Office 365 tenant. That's fine because SchoolDeskUS dies here. We've migrated over to thevia.com. So it's just saying this doesn't match any domain that we have registered in Office 365. FYI, I'm good with that. Close it down, and we have a hybrid environment. Now, if you're like me, going through something of that magnitude with a blank desktop left over when it's undone is just flat out unnerving. So there are a few things that you can do to verify this whole thing works. First of all, in your app data, if you open your %app data% folder, which takes you right into your app data and your user folder, go to Microsoft, go to Exchange Hybrid Configuration. There, my friends, is the log file. You can right click on that, hit edit with Notepad. Well, I use Notepad++ just because I like it. And this shows you every single thing that wizard did. And it tells you, why having a wizard is a really good thing. There's literally a ton of stuff that it went through to put this relationship together. The good news is it recorded everything in the log file. Even our certificate error, you can see right there, that's where it got that warning from. The certificate provided doesn't match. So we can go back and verify the entire thing. This is especially useful if it didn't work. You can come back and find out where it hung up at. Second thing, you can open up the Exchange Management Console and see the new send connectors that were created. If I expand my org configuration, hub transport, and look at the send connectors, right there is my outbound Office 365. I didn't make that. The hybrid configuration wizard did. I double click it. It says, hey, you're going to introduce yourself as mail.school.us.com. Aha, that's where that came in. I can even click on the source servers and find out it pre-configured EX03 and 09, which is the two that I selected during the wizard to host this send connector. If I shrink this down and go back to the Exchange Management shell, I can type in get exchange certificate and find out there's a brand new certificate that's in my certificate list, which is called Federation. That's the certificate that was installed by Office 365 to secure all the communication between my Exchange cluster and the cloud. If I type in get hybrid configuration, it shows all the puzzle pieces that glue this hybrid configuration together. You can see the two servers that are handling the transport communication. You can see the external IP address shown right there, all the features that this hybrid configuration supports. Now, if we use the Express version, or the minimal configuration, I should say, we would see that list greatly diminished. I can type in the command get remote domain, and I now see these remote domains. These were all added. That lets our Exchange cluster know, hey, to reach any of these domain names, if you don't have a mailbox for it, send it over to Office 365. Our environment is now set up to do the final tasks of Exchange hybrid configuration, which is adjusting our MX record and moving mailboxes over. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.